For the last 40 years, the global economy has pretty much played by one set of rules. But one country's incredible rise has basically thrown that entire playbook out the window. Today, we're going to dig into how China's economic miracle didn't just build a new superpower. It's forcing the entire world to ask a tough question. What is the real price of power? Okay, so to really get a handle on this massive global shift, we have to zoom way in. We've got to look at one of the most amazing transformations in all of human history. It's the story of a single village. Yeah, but in a way, it's really the story of China itself.
Just try to picture this. What was once this sleepy little fishing village of about 30,000 people has absolutely exploded into a sprawling modern metropolis of over 10 million. That kind of change, in just a couple of decades, is almost impossible to wrap your head around. And to feel the real human impact of this, think about this. Back in the early 1980s, the average fisherman living there made just a single dollar per day. That wasn't just a low wage, that was a life of pure survival, living right on the edge of poverty.
Okay, so now let's fast forward to today. The average income in that exact same city, over $30,000 a year. That leap is, well, it's just staggering. And it's so much more than a local success story. This right here, this is the very engine that powered China's rise and completely reshaped the world economy.
What's really fascinating, though, is that China's modern rise isn't really something new. For most of history, it was an economic powerhouse. So this is actually a story of a dramatic return, It's a reversal of this long decline that started way back when the Industrial Revolution shifted the world's economic center of gravity over to the West.
Meanwhile, in the years after World War II, the West was building its own prosperity on a really simple but powerful idea. The economist Milton Friedman put it best: a company's only real job is to make money for its shareholders. And for decades, that was the undisputed rule of the game.
So by the 1970s, China was really struggling. We're talking widespread poverty. The country's new leader, Deng Xiaoping, he knew something radical had to change, but he was facing this huge challenge.
How do you get the magic of capitalism working for you without the Communist Party losing its iron grip on control?
Well, their solution was pretty clever. They created these things called special economic zones. You can think of them as capitalist laboratories, and they picked that little fishing village for a very strategic reason. It was right next to Hong Kong, which was a beacon of free market capitalism. It became the perfect bridge between two worlds.
And wow, did it work. It worked better than anyone could have possibly imagined. Foreign companies just poured in, looking for that cheap labor. And before you knew it, China was the world's factory. This sparked an economic explosion that lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty faster than any other time in human history. It's just incredible.
But you knew there was a but, right? This amazing success story has a hidden side, a much more complicated side. Because when you actually start to dig into the data from this whole era of globalization, you see a really stark picture of winners and losers.
Which leaves us to the billion-dollar question, really. Who actually benefited from all this?
The rise of China and this profit-first capitalism created a ton of wealth. But was it shared fairly? Well, the data tells a surprisingly unequal story. The biggest winners, by a long shot, were the brand new middle class in emerging countries, especially in China. Their incomes literally more than doubled as they got plugged into the global economy and got all these new jobs from industrialization. But here's the flip side of that coin. The middle and working classes back in the West, they saw their fortunes just stall. As all those factory jobs moved overseas to places like China, their income growth just slowed to a crawl. They basically got left behind.
And who were the ultimate winners in all of this? Yep, the absolute wealthiest people on the entire planet. The global top 1% saw their incomes triple during this time. The system was basically tailor-made for them to benefit enormously.
Of course, the costs weren't just financial. This relentless, all-out drive for short-term profit often meant the planet paid the price. As China became the world's factory, it also became its largest CO2 emitter, which is a pretty stark reminder of the long-term consequences of this model.
So you take all of this, the shocking inequality, the huge environmental cost, and it sparked this massive global debate. It's a debate about whether we need to completely rewrite the rules of capitalism to fix the very problems the old model created.
And right at the heart of this whole debate is a big shift in thinking, moving from shareholder capitalism to something called stakeholder capitalism. The old model just says a business is there to make money for its owners, full stop. This new model says, hang on,
A business should create long-term value for everyone it affects.
So, who are these stakeholders? Well, it's not just the investors. It's the employees, it's the customers, it's the suppliers, it's the community, and even the planet itself. The core idea here is that a business has a real responsibility to all of them.
Now, this is not just some theory they talk about in universities. This is playing out in real time right now, as China becomes a true rival to the United States. We are moving into a world with more than one superpower, where those old rules just don't really apply anymore.
The US is still the world's biggest economy, no doubt, but China is now a leader in other really critical areas. It now has the world's largest navy, if you're counting ships, and it is becoming the dominant force in the technologies that are going to define our future.
Just take a look at green technology, for example. China has poured huge amounts of state money into this, and now it produces a mind-boggling 80% of the world's solar panels. And it dominates wind and electric vehicle production too. That gives Beijing a ton of leverage over the rest of the world's transition to clean energy.
But it is important to remember China is far from unstoppable. It's facing some enormous problems at home. We're talking a mountain of debt, a population that's getting older really fast, and economic growth that is slowing way down. These are really serious challenges that could mess up its path to global dominance.
So in the end, China's rise really forces all of us to confront a pretty fundamental question. The last 40 years have shown us that focusing only on profit can create miracles, absolutely. But it can also create deep inequality and put our whole planet at risk. So as we head into this new era with new powers at the table, the real question is, what should a successful economy actually prioritize in the century to come?